Hello, my name is Gus Shehab. I'm an immigration lawyer and welcome to the U.S. Immigration Bulletin. I hope you're doing well and staying healthy. Today's topic is how to prepare for your upcoming interview with the USCIS regarding your application for permanent residence based on your marriage to a U.S. citizen. So in this video, I'm going to do a few things. I'm going to talk to you about some of the law in this area and then five things that you must do in order for you to have a successful interview. The other thing that we have to remember that the USCIS uses a system in determining whether or not the marriage is compatible. And those things are the relative age of the couple, the race, the language, their religion, the relative religion, and their educational level. So the more similarities there are in these five components, again, they are age, race, language, religion, educational level. The more there are compatibility in these five elements, the very high likelihood that the case will be approved. So the first thing is the body language of the couple, and then the second is the system that the officers look at in making a determination whether the couple is compatible. The five things that you must do in order for you to be well prepared for the interview is, first of all, to be relaxed about it. That's the first thing. So the night before your interview, I tell my clients to make sure that you get a good night's sleep and to be well prepared so that by the interview, you are not, you didn't have like a 2-hour night's sleep before and you're nervous and you're uncomfortable. So make sure that you rest and have ample time in order to reflect on the upcoming interview. The second piece of advice is to make sure that you have sufficient time before the interview to research and assemble documentation in support of your good faith marriage. In the description below, I have a link that will take you to a page on our website that has a lot of documentation that you can prepare in support of the marriage that you have. So I've created a system, and I call it like a 4-tier system. The first tier is the financial commingling. The second tier is insurance, and then third is trips taken together. Fourth is photographs and affidavits from friends. So the most compelling evidence is the financial commingling, and that is the mixture of your assets and liabilities, your bank accounts, your tax returns. So take a look at the list and study it well, and don't be alarmed if you don't have everything on this list. The more, the merrier, right? And then as we said earlier, that there are these five elements. If you have the more of those five elements together that are more compatible evidence, the better your case is. So you have to make a judgment on to go overboard with the documentation or not, depending on these five elements that we discussed earlier. So that's the second advice, is to prepare your evidence that you have in order to present to the USCIS officer that your marriage is in good faith. The third advice, and I always tell this to my clients, is make sure that you create two manila folders. On one manila folder, write on it original documents. On the second manila folder, write copies. Okay. Now, what you want to do is to make sure that you have identical documentation in both folders. In the original, you want to put in it anything that was submitted with the petition and application initially before the interview. Things like marriage certificate, birth certificates, passports, anything that you have submitted a copy of in the application or petition that you submitted before, you must bring the original. So the officer has the opportunity to compare and make sure that the copies that were submitted were genuine. In addition, in the original file, attach and tab all of the documentation that you're submitting in support of your marriage, things like commingling of funds, joint health insurance, auto insurance, renter's insurance or homeowner's insurance, life insurance, all of those things that you want to put in that original file, make sure you tab them, and so that you can easily get to them in interview. The officer is not going to sit and wait for you to, look in your briefcase and then look in your wife's purse, what have you. No, you need to be organized and know exactly where the documents are. The same thing is going to be also in the copies manila folder, right? So that if the officer wants to see the original, you can present the original. But most of the time, they just want copies. So the one manila folder that has the originals should stay aside, and you should work off of the copies. If the officer says, "Can I see the original?" then you have it available. You can easily get to it. Okay, this is extremely important. Many of my clients, they go to the interview and what they submit to the officer is like an envelope that has the insurance cards, and they expect the officers to open up the envelope. Don't do that. Do not do that. Okay, the officers are busy, and you want to have a good experience and not get the officer to become flustered. Another small piece of advice, and this is really, sometimes small things make a big difference, is that the folder, the manila folder that has the copies, punch 2 holes in the top of each document, because the officer will punch the hole if there's no holes. But if the holes are punched already, all the officer will do is just put it in his file or her file, and they'll really appreciate that. So the holes are not on the side, the holes are on top, and then make sure that you punch hole all of the copies, 2 on the top in, sort of centered, so that the officer has ease to take the documents from you and put them in his file or her file. The advice is to review the applications and petitions that were submitted before and be familiar with them, because the officer will go through those with you in the interview. Okay, so make sure that you know all of the answers to all the questions. Now, you don't have to memorize anything. You can actually follow through with the officer. You can open up the petition for alien relative form I-130 when the officer is asking questions and just kind of go through that with him or her as they're going through it. So be familiar with that, have it ready and available, and again, be organized. The final advice, the 5th advice, is arrive early, okay, and so that you can go through security. Don't miss the interview. Please don't miss the interview, because that could be really bad for you. But show up half an hour before. Don't bring children. Okay, the officers don't want children in the examinations room. They get irritated, flustered. Sometimes children need attention, and you're not really focused on the questions that the officer is asking you. And again, be organized, and good luck to you on your upcoming interview. Those are the 5 things that you must do in order to prepare for your interview. I'll do another video on what to expect during the interview. What are some of the things that will go on in the interview and how to deal with them. Thank you very much for watching this video to the end. If you liked it and thought it was useful, please don't forget to share, subscribe, and like, and hit the bell button so that you can receive updates from me when I post new videos. Have a good day.